good evening, and welcome. We're here in our studio in central New York City. News just in: Anthony Cumia is a rotten faggot. Yes, he is. Just before I came on, I was informed that thanks to last week's extraordinary Gavstravaganza, the Gavstravaganza, you were there, the Gavstravaganza, last week, we exceeded our COVID quota in the studio. I'm very sorry to tell you that we did. Yes, we did. And we were told we were allowed no audience this week. The diktat came down from on high. Well, I've got good news. We've only got, Well, we have got an audience, but the good news is, just so that we're not breaking the rules, it consists solely of my spiritual advisor, my chauffeur, my dental hygienist, my violin instructor, my stylist, my therapist, my fluffer, and all of their various assistants. So anyone's got a problem with that, you can see me later. A couple of announcements before we begin, and we're going to get straight to our interview with an extraordinary troublemaker.
I forgot to brush my teeth.
In studio, we're going to be speaking to a remarkable and truly inspirational rising conservative activist. And that, of course, is Bevelyn Beatty, who we're going to be talking to. She's been out vandalizing, or we should say expressing, her political and religious opinions. She's been indulging herself in First Amendment theatrics, which we absolutely love. We adore her, and she is my new favorite person of 2020. But before that,
there we go.
The nice people at Cameo got in touch with me, and they said, "We heard you're down on your luck," and I said, "Well, you know." And they said, "We'd love you to come on. The most exciting person we have on our platform at the moment is Sarah Jessica Parker, and we need your help." And I said, "Well, I don't know. How is Sarah Jessica Parker going to feel about this?" And they said to me, "Well, she'll probably leave, but fuck it." So look out for me in a couple of weeks, appearing on that network, and you can ask me to do almost anything. It's a wonderful thing. So you can ask me, for instance, to tell your cousin to get back in the closet. You can use me to break up with your girlfriend. You can ask me to pass the news on to your mother-in-law that she is not invited for Christmas. In fact, you can do a variety of mean-spirited, churlish, and spiteful things. So I look forward to helping you out with all of those. You can also, of course, ask me for relationship advice, or ask me to sing or read your favorite poem. So there's a variety of things happening there. Now, next week, I'm back in Florida from tomorrow, and I'm going to be interviewing Roger Stone, a long, in-depth, serious sit-down with him, the aftermath of his lawsuit, and also, of course, the unfortunate news of last week. Was it a hot mic or a stitch-up job by the radio? We'll find out. Now, this week's show, we're going to go straight on to our first guest because he's been waiting an awfully long time. This week's show is about shattering sacred shibboleths. It's about breaking taboos. And the two people I have on, apart from Bevelyn, the other person I have on is a young man from Australia whose name is CatboyKami. And he has been propelled recently to infamy for appearing on Omegle, which is a chat platform. You can sort of you just show up there, and you get assigned a random other person somewhere else on the internet. He's been doing it in a variety of characters, which we'll talk about with him in a minute. And he is a mischievous, naughty boy, but I'm intrigued by him, and I am in support of him for reasons that will become clear. So, CatboyKami, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up?
Oh, perfect. Why are you topless?
Because this is me out of costume, I guess.
I see. So this is a sort of the first Batman movie.
Right.
I've taken. What are you doing with those things?
What?
I can see. You're twiddling them. You're twiddling them for the petty titillation of my vast female audience. You're twiddling and poking with those protrudences. Could
Just
you
ignore them.
Well, it's quite difficult. I've got a very plasma screen next to me with you on it. All right. Well, thanks for showing up in all your glory. Although I have to say, you are missing one item of clothing in particular that people have known you for, and that is some. What was it? Was it Vegemite? Was it Vegemite?
No, actually, it was face paint, but Vegemite would have worked just as well.
Oh, it would have worked well and been disgusting. So you showed up on a bunch of these Omegles made the entire internet laugh. You are hilarious. You're a hilarious comedian.
Thanks.
But you're also somebody who upsets people a lot, appearing in blackface with particular accents and all the rest of it. Now, my read on you is that you are attacking multiple taboos at once. Slating George Floyd, breaking the taboo on blackface, shocking people into realizing that nothing bad happens when you break these laws of the left that say that you can't cast spells with these magical, dangerous words, and you can't do certain things with your appearance. I happen to think there should be no barrier on comedy at all. But talk us through your kind of comedic process when you're coming up with these characters, and talk to us about what it's for and why you do some of the things you do.
Well, I guess ever since I was a kid, I always found big red buttons that aren't supposed to be pressed funny when they're pressed. You know, like when I was little and I wasn't when I was little and I wasn't supposed to swear, I found South Park funny, for example. And at the moment, the biggest red button in society is race and race relations, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, to come at that from comedic angles is a lot of fun.
Right. Now, I asked. Look. Not everybody is going to enjoy your particular brand of comedy. I happen to think you're hilarious, and I encourage people to look you up. But we've asked our readers and our listeners, our subscribers, for their questions for you. And so the most common questions I promised that I would put to you. Okay. So the first one is, who topped whom between you and Nicholas J. Fuentes?
That was a psyop promoted by Vosh and other guys, and like the
so there was no homosexual interaction between the two of you.
No, I mean, like the entire interaction was recorded live on stream.
I'm sorry, say again?
The entire interaction was live on stream, so like if there was anything like that, you'd have video evidence.
I see. Well, I mean, maybe it happened afterwards. Maybe it happened before. That doesn't strike me as a particularly good example, a particularly persuasive argument.
I mean, maybe for most streamers, but I also streamed myself 24/7 for like 4 months. So I generally record just everything. What did you? What's the big takeaway that you had from doing that, from allowing people into your life? Because they will have discovered things about you that are attractive. Obviously, you work out, you look good, you enjoy the fact that you look good, very obviously. But you're also a sexual deviant. You're clearly a weeb. I can see anime in the backgrounds of many of your things going on. So there's a suggestion there. There's something. What's you're letting people into every aspect of your life. What's the takeaway for you? What did you learn from it? I guess what I learned is people assume, and rightly so, that everyone has something to hide. And so if there's someone that is completely honest, their first thought is, if that's what he's showing, what is he not showing? So I'd say people assume I'm a lot worse than I actually am. Right. You've got quite a gay following, haven't you? Because you like to get your baps out. Yeah, there's like forums dedicated to me and stuff where they like stalk me.
You say that with a very studied nonchalance, if you don't mind me saying. Yeah, there's like forums dedicated to me and stuff. All right, fine. So look, to my mind, if everybody was open and hilarious and funny and provocative like you, cancel culture would die tomorrow. Do you want everyone to be like you, or would you prefer that it was just a couple of provocateurs to make the point? Or do you want more of a sort of chaotic, full-throated, everybody like trying to upset everybody else just to prove the point that these words don't really have any power? What's the ideal for you? Well, I mean, I guess you're still twiddling them. Why are you twiddling them? It kind of moves on its own a little bit. Well, there's two of them, and they're moving independently. There's independent twiddles. I can see it. Look, my producer is in the back, and I can only see one of his hands. And we're gonna have to zoom in and pan up. There's nothing else for it. No, look, it's nipples. It's nipple. We're a family show, and I wouldn't mind, but they keep bobbling. Do I need to put a shirt on? No, of course not. Of course not. Okay. My homosexual producer would never forgive me. So, do you want everyone to be more like you, or do you want, or do you think it's just the place of a couple of provocateurs?
I don't know if it would be possible for everyone to be like me, because I'd say personality has a large genetic component to it. And also, if everyone was like me, I guess I'd be out of a job. So that wouldn't be very fun.
Okay. Another question from our listeners. Who is your black role model? You've obviously studied, I will tell you, as you know, look, your performance on Omegle tells me that you have given close and loving, affectionate attention to the speech patterns of Black America. Right. So you must have a black role model or someone that you have looked to for guidance in creating this character. Who is it?
In creating the character, I don't know, probably just like little videos you see floating around the internet of black belligerents. In terms of blacks that I actually like, Malcolm X was cool, at least when he was friends with Rockwell. Okay.
So one of the other things that people are wondering, and I think that they always wonder about provocateurs, is you've gone through a few different incarnations, you've played different characters. I've seen you with a Torah and a lovely hat.
Yeah, it's a good Photoshop.
Various other things. Which of the characters that you have played would you say is the one closest to your heart, or the one that best reflects your own views, or the one that you think is communicating more of your sincere beliefs? Because I see comments from you online that seem more like the kind of nihilistic, burn it all down, Joker style comedian, and then I see comments from you online that seem to tend more towards the sort of sincere Groyper race realism stuff that some people will find uncomfortable. So what character of yours would you say best reflects your real views about the world? And if you had a message, for instance, which character conveys it?
I mean, there's been videos where I'm just on Omegle as myself, and I go into more just sort of like back and forth conversations without so much of the humor. But I also do that in blackface as well sometimes. So yeah, I'd say in all of the videos, if you either read between the lines of the jokes or just watch for the times where I'm having a more direct lecture or conversation, you can see where the true ideas lie. There's one on my BitChute called, I think it's George Lincoln Rockwell has a conversation with Aunt Jemima. That's a good 30-minute video.
Oh dear. Well, those at home who are watching this who are brave-hearted can certainly look into that. Now, just to test your credentials, I will be able to tell from this question whether you have a real, true affinity to black culture or not. What is your favorite Kanye album?
The one where he's like, "Praise the Lord," or something like that. You know the one I'm talking. It's a song.
King. Are you talking about Jesus is King?
Yeah, that one.
I mean, pretty much any answer to that question means you're white, by the way. But all right, fine. Okay, well look, I think you're. Here's the reason I want to have you on. I want people to see you a little bit is because lots of our subscribers and people who like the show are like, fuck that guy, and I immediately watch you. I was watching you and I was thinking, no. This is the perfect example of somebody who is much smarter than everybody immediately assumes just from reading, the Daily Mail or whatever, and much funnier than everybody immediately assumes. And I think you're great, despite the fact that you are a little terror and a mischief maker and a little nightmare, and despite the fact that you come on and do this twiddling thing. But all right, so what's next for you? You have scandalized the world. It's gone all over the globe now. Your blackface character, where you're sort of speaking in a kind of pidgin, a patois or whatever, Ebonics, I guess you would say. And some of those encounters are hilarious because they draw out. What I like about them is they draw out just the panic and horror of people who live according to society's pointless prescriptions, right?
Yeah. And what's funny about it's funny how people draw morality from things that have been quite recently developed. Like this whole idea of racism was developed last century by Bronstein, more commonly known as Trotsky.
Right. I mean, well, the invention. You could go a bit further back than that, I think. I mean, the invention of race as we know it was really an invention of rabbis in the Middle Ages in Spain.
Well, no, not the concept of race existing, but the actual first historical document that has this word racism, or another one they used at the time was Slavophilia, this idea of pathologizing in-group preference.
Right. Yeah, no, and that's fair. There's a lot of good literature on this stuff, and I think you're right about that. I do enjoy watching people trying to work out how it could possibly be that you exist. How are you allowed to exist as a human being? And that's what I'm reading on their faces. It's like, how can you be? This is not okay. Which begs the question, what do your parents think about this? Do you live with your mum and dad?
No.
I didn't mean that in a disparaging way. It's just that you're obviously young.
Yeah.
I
don't live
with
my
the job
parents.
that you have, most people are living in the room above the garage or whatever, you know. So do you have a day job?
I don't like to talk about personal things, given that disproportionately for my size, I have a lot of people, you know, trying to dox me, shoot me, whatever. I'm not afraid of violence or even death for what I believe in, but I don't see the reason to make it easier for people.
Sure, that's reasonable. Would you say that you're driven primarily by insisting on, let's say, free speech standards and sticking up for the right of comedy to do whatever to do whatever it wants and go wherever it wants, and the right of people to be funny in whatever way they choose? Or are you trying to convey specific political or racial messages with what you're doing?
I think free speech is absolutely an issue in this day and age, but like with anything political, I'd say the more important thing than politics is genetic demographics of nations, and the politics at the moment, as they usually are used to attack certain groups. At this point, it's why it's under attack. So
yeah, I mean, I don't think any reasonable common sense observer is going to have much argument with that. Look, it's obvious that you are a comedian with a message. You're very, very funny. You upset all the right people, and I have to give props to anyone that makes me squirm in my seat, which you have successfully managed to do. I know you were waiting a long time to come on today, and I'm grateful for your time. So I'm gonna let you go as we have our studio guest next. But I just wanted you to come on so people could see that there was a little bit more behind, as there so often is with these outrageous viral shock moments. There's often an intellect behind it who has something to say, even if you're not entirely. But it's just an intellect with something to say that it's worth engaging with. And I think you are one of those people. So thank you for making time for us. I've very much enjoyed it. And I very much look forward to seeing future incarnations and new characters. And like I say, I can only applaud somebody who manages to make me feel deeply uncomfortable, which you definitely have.
Plenty more of that to come.
So thank you very much. God bless, and all the best to you.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Thank you. Well,